Welcome back to another episode of TAAP. I'm Chad,
I'm Michael.
and we got something we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
Something that we've talked about some, but I think this is going to be good for those people that are maybe just real new to concealed carry or are thinking about getting into concealed carry.
Okay.
Some good things to think about, some tips for them, things like that. So,
Well, I think Nebraska is now a constitutional carry.
yep, and a lot of states are now.
Um, yeah. And a lot of people think, well, now that I can carry and I don't have to get a permit, they don't necessarily have to go get the class, so they don't learn a lot of the stuff when it comes to concealed carry.
Right, and
Okay.
And if you are someone who is newer to firearms, I definitely think even if you don't have to take the class, I think it's a good thing to do.
I agree.
Now full disclosure, I've not taken the class, but I've been around firearms all my life, and
Right.
I know what they teach in the class. Am I still going to take the class at some point? Yeah, because it's going to make my pews a lot easier and a lot quicker
Yeah.
and smoother. But in
Well,
Nebraska, it's not required anymore, but I would strongly recommend it if you are in a constitutional carry state and you haven't taken the class. I'd recommend it. If you're newer to the firearm world.
so if you've been carrying a firearm forever, and you're an avid hunter, and you've been around firearms your whole life, I agree. Is it's probably beneficial to still take the class. However, that would be like I'm 60 years old and I've had a driver's license in one state my whole life. Now I moved over to this state, so I don't have to go take their driver's test for that per se. So,
Legally, you still do to get a license in that state, but
well, no, you just have to transfer over. You don't actually have to do the behind
it
the
depends.
wheel.
It depends on the state.
Really?
Yep.
Holy cow.
Some states you have to do the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
But yeah, same basic idea. You've been driving all your life, and you move to another state. You need to do what they tell you have to do, but I'd say it's more like, do you need to go take driver's ed?
I guess if you still have a valid license that you go through, they basically just switch it over. Now, if you've had a concealed carry permit, you taken a course in another state, and you move to another state, and it's a constitutional carry, so I don't have to have a permit anymore. Do you necessarily have to take the class again? Probably not, but you may want to look up your local laws.
Right.
So, all right, that's our PSA
So-
for the day.
So as far as if you're gonna carry, and this really, this isn't just if you're new to concealed carry. This, I think, this first one, and there's a reason I have it first, is it applies anytime you're gonna carry.
Okay. What is
It's whether you're carrying, whether I'm carrying. It's something that applies every time. Have the right mindset.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you have the right mindset when you are leaving your dwelling?
Yeah.
Because it's a balancing act. If you're concealed carrying, there's certain responsibility that goes with that in my mind, and it's not just the responsibility of can I make a good shot, and I'm responsible for where that little freedom pellet goes.
Right.
It's, do I have the right mindset of, if something happens and I need to unholster that weapon and fire it, am I in a good mindset to do that?
Right.
Or can I tell, no, you know what, I don't really need to do anything here. I'm just going to sit back.
Right. So here's a good example of right mindset, okay? You just caught your wife cheating on you. She just served you with divorce papers, and your boss fired you earlier that day. Probably not a good
No.
way to carry that gun.
No. That's
Just
where you keep it
saying.
locked in the safe.
Yep, that.
And in fact, if things are going that bad, it might be a good time to give them to a friend to hold on to for a while.
And there's nothing wrong with
No.
that. Just remove that possibility outside completely might be a good idea. Now that's a really extreme
Right,
situation.
right.
That's having a really bad day. And you know what? Some days you wake up and I have a migraine. Things just seem to bother me a little bit more, and something like that. Today, for an example, was I wasn't going to be carrying today. Had a migraine all day. That migraine just kind of put me in a bad mood. And when I'm I'm in a bad mood, I don't want to carry.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing. People have good days and they have bad days.
And it's knowing yourself and how you would react to an extreme situation in the mindset you're currently in.
Now those people that look at that and go, if am I in the right mindset to carry this? Those are the people I want carrying their. Those are the people I want armed because they're making those decisions based off who they are, who they're. It could be, I'm going over to my mother-in-law's today. Maybe I shouldn't carry over because she likes to piss me off.
She's
Just
a fucking
saying.
cunt. And...
Right. You're like, she says the right word to me, and jail time doesn't look so bad. I'm just saying.
It might be a nice vacation from her.
Right. I'm just saying.
No, we kid. We love everyone except for the people that don't deserve to be loved. But yeah, you have to be in that mindset of, am I able to do what I may need to do?
Right.
And am I able to control my emotions enough so I don't do anything stupid?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean every time, I woke up and I had a kink in my neck, so I'm not going to carry. No, we're not saying that. We're saying it should be analyzed every time you go to pick up that firearm and leave your house. It should be a thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, today's a good day. Or, it's just whatever it is, and it can be Monday's fine, Tuesday's bad, Wednesday's good. It's not like, it's not as full as, I guess it's not as one-sided as
It's not one size fits all.
Right.
Here's another good example. We typically go out on Saturday nights and we have a few drinks. I definitely don't carry when we go out then.
Oh, yeah.
But typically on Sundays, I don't carry either because I've been drinking the night before, probably didn't get much sleep.
Right.
So I'm just not in that good headspace to carry. Yeah.
Now, if you didn't have that much to drink, and that's a conversation. I guess what we're trying to say here is
have that conversation with yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even scripted.
No, we didn't even know we were going to say that. That's why we get inside each other's heads so goddamn much.
So another thing to think of along the same lines, and I've seen where people think that, ooh, I can carry now, so it almost doesn't matter where I go. Don't think that just because you can carry, it's okay to go places you normally wouldn't go if you weren't carrying.
Yeah.
If it's a bad place, it's a bad place, and if you wouldn't go there without your sidearm, don't go there with your sidearm. Because that's just asking for trouble again.
Don't, just because you have a firearm on your hip, whether concealed, open carry, whichever your laws go through, that doesn't mean now you're Billy Badass and you can go wherever you want. You're like, well, I don't like normally going to this neighborhood because it's a rough neighborhood, but now that I have a firearm on me, by God, I'm going to go there. And if you have that mindset, I'm telling you, you're asking for trouble.
Yep. You're going to end up in a lot of trouble because, and that kind of gets into this next part of having the right mindset. That firearm is your absolute last resort.
Yes.
If you can't do things like de-escalate verbally, I don't care if you're carrying or not. That if there's a confrontation of some sort, that should always be your first option. De-escalate verbally.
Yep.
I've been at the bar before, and there was something that someone was in a bad mood and just looking to start something and happened to bump into me, and you know what? Hey, sorry that happened. Let me buy you a beer.
Yeah.
Take that level down, de-escalate it, and then after that, know how to physically defend yourself.
Yeah.
Most situations, if it gets to that point, it's not going to jump right off to I'm pulling out my gun and shooting. There's going to be a little bit of physical confrontation there.
Yeah.
So know how to throw a good punch. Go take a couple. You need to take more than a couple. Go take some jiu-jitsu classes.
Karate,
boxing, karate, whatever it is. I am very fond of jiu-jitsu just because you can take someone down and neutralize them and then hold them there until they decide they're going to calm down.
It could be just a simple defense class.
Yeah.
So
And just a little PSA here for those of you, especially who are female and smaller in stature, look into jiu-jitsu classes. They are very good for you to defend yourself.
yep.
Um,
It's good to do that. Now here's you got to understand, and you're also looking at what kind of mindset you're in. I get that. Being able to verbally de-escalate and go something like that. Now, good or bad, it is me. If I don't have a firearm on me and a situation arises, I'm a little less loosey goosey. Where I'm like, okay, if you wanna throw a few punches,
if
let's go.
as kind of the saying I use, if you're feeling froggy, jump.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and I'll go out there, and if I'm not carrying a firearm and they're feeling froggy, I'm okay if they jump because I don't mind doing that. Now, if
But
I
you
go
don't go
outs-
out looking for it either.
I don't go looking for it. But now, if I go out and I have my firearm on me and someone's getting a little froggy, I don't want them to jump because that can possibly put my firearm. So I'll be honest, I'm gonna be a little more cautious when I'm carrying my firearm in certain situations, more so than when I'm not carrying. So if you're that type of person, that's a good thing too. You're
That's-
gonna
That's something you have to take into consideration.
right.
And here's the other big thing with this is there are people out there that think, well, kind of the opposite of what you just said. Well,
Right.
I'm carrying, and if I can get into this argument that turns into a physical confrontation. If I start getting my ass kicked, well, I'll just pull out my gun.
That's not the right attitude.
Well,
I'm telling you that right
yeah.
now.
Not only that, it's probably going to end you in prison.
Yeah. Now, you might get lucky. They may pull out a tire iron or something like that, and you could justify it. But and I still live by the it's better to be, go to trial with
Better be
12,
judged by 12 than
judged
carried by
12, carried
6.
by 6, yeah. I still fall in line. I love that saying. I love how that says. However, you have to know what you're capable of doing, what you're not capable of doing, and if you're going to lean on that firearm in a situation, it better be a life or death situation.
Especially if it's a situation that you caused.
Right.
Because I don't think there's a state out there that will let you claim self-defense if you started the confrontation.
Again, it's don't
Just don't do it.
avoid it.
So that's kind of having that conversation that you have to have with yourself before you even step out the door.
Yeah.
Next thing is, how are you going to carry that firearm? There are as many ways as you can think of to carry a firearm.
And we disagree on a lot of those, actually.
We do.
And you know what? I'm not right, and he's not right.
It's all personal preference.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things where I think that I'm more right than other options, and we'll get to that, and I'll explain why. I think most people, especially men, if they're going to carry, they're carrying on their body.
Yeah.
It's on their hip. It's in a shoulder rig. I don't think a lot of people carry ankle anymore on a regular basis. On a regular basis.
I do.
Well, you're the exception, but
Well, in winter, I like ankle carry.
okay. It's just too far away from my hand to get to. That's my big drawback with that, which kind of leads us to off body. I am a huge proponent of, if you're gonna carry, if at all possible, carry on body.
I agree. I think on body is by far the superior. This is where, and I think the problem is I will carry on body and off body, and I don't know if.
How are you carrying off body? You got a purse that you're carrying around? A little man
I-
bag?
I do. I actually have a sling bag that goes across. However, I don't. Technically, it would be kind of a middle. It's a gray area. Because-
Technically, that's still off body, I think.
Is it technically
Mhm.
off? Because the string, it comes across my chest,
Right.
right here. It's the strap is on me. There's no way you're getting that off of me.
Here's the reason I would consider that off body. At some point, you're probably going to take it off your body. I look at it like a
Yes.
woman's purse. I tell my girls that, and they like the backpack purses, so I don't have to worry about it as much.
Right.
But if they ever have a regular purse, I tell them when you go out, you put that over your shoulder and across your body,
Yeah.
because then someone can't just rip it off your shoulder.
Correct.
But here's the problem that you run into with a purse. How many times have you gone out with Rebecca and you go somewhere and she takes her purse that she may be wearing crossbody, takes it off and sets it on the chair next to her?
Yeah, so this is also knowing your surroundings and knowing if you're carrying a firearm, you got to make sure that if you're going to carry off body in a purse or a little sling bag like I carry, you have to make sure that that is your responsible to make sure it is secure.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I like the sling is because I'm carrying it. It may be hot. It's short season.
Mm-hmm.
I have that there. I can reach in and grab it. That sling isn't going to go anywhere. And now the good thing with this is if I'm going into a place and it says, oh, there's no, they have a sign that says no firearms allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hate those signs.
Yep, me
but
too.
we have to do it. But there's nothing that says I could get out. I could take that sling bag. No one's going to see the firearm. I'm going to put that sling bag in the trunk of the car and maybe take my wallet out of it so I can put that in my pocket.
Right.
No one saw the transition is what I'm saying.
Right.
So don't get me wrong, there's some benefits and non-benefits for it. But if you're going to off-carry or off-body carry in a purse, as a bag, or something along a fanny pack, they make
Mm-hmm.
fanny packs with that. If you have to remove that, it's your responsibility to remove it and keep it safe. Where if my wife says, hey, I've got to go to the bathroom, here, hold my purse, there should be a code word of, and I think a lot of the code word were, my good lipstick is in that purse. That she's telling me there's a gun in there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that purse. I'm going to make sure that I don't get it out of my sight, or I'm like, oh yeah, it's just a purse, and throw it on the table.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And
doing it correctly makes it safe. If you carry a firearm, it is your responsibility to keep that firearm safe.
And here's the other problem I have with off-body. Now, your crossbody little satchel bag is kind of an exception to it because when you wear that, you've got it across your chest. You know exactly where it is.
Right.
This would be more for if you have it in a duffel bag or a purse or something like that. It's not as easy to get to as if it's on your body. I mean, if I've got it, whether I'm appendix carrying, whether I'm carrying it at 3 o'clock, whether I have it in a shoulder rig, it's right there. It's attached to me. I know right where it is. My hand can go to it and grab it.
Right.
If it's in your purse, oh, now I got to dig in my purse and get it. And here's the other thing. We talked about this a little bit with the SIG episode. Even if you're putting in your purse, make sure it's in a good holster.
Right.
Because you don't want to be going to grab it. Or even worse, you want to be going to grab something else out of it. And that lipstick gets jostled and it pushes the trigger in. And now all of a sudden the gun fires through your purse and hopefully only into the floor.
So, and there's a way to solve that. You get a concealed carry purse. A concealed carry purse has a special pocket in there where only the firearm goes, and a lot of times it's just zipper or Velcro or something like that. I prefer the zipper ones. Some of those zippers actually have a lock for them too, which is really cool as well. I don't recommend off-body carry myself unless you are really good at it. I don't want. If you're new to carrying, carry it on your body first, and then take your purse and say, you know what, I'm going to pretend that my firearm's in that purse, and then you're going to treat that as a suitcase full of $1 million bills, and everybody knows it's in there. You have to be pretty safe.
So, and that goes into however you're going to carry it. Practice.
Practice.
At home.
Practice.
Draw it, holster it. Draw it, holster it. Draw it, holster it. Draw it, come up, push it out. Pull it back in, holster it.
And it's I'm telling you, it's different pulling a firearm from your body than from a bag. So I don't care if you've had a firearm on your hip forever and you decide you want to put it in a bag, it's going to feel different. If you haven't practiced that, you're not doing it right.
Well, and the same is the opposite way too. If you go to the range all the time, but you've got that firearm in your range bag and you're taking out the range bag to use it, just because you can do that doesn't mean that you can effectively draw it off your hip and clear your shirt or whatever it is that might be blocking it. We're getting in the time of the year where it's cold. I mean, I've even switched. It's cold enough that I've even switched over my winter jacket now.
Right.
There's a lot of extra stuff that I have to worry about when I'm wearing that coat to get around to clear my firearm.
Yeah, see, people don't think that. They're like, well, I carry this in the summer, and I've been practicing drawing it with this, but now I'm going to put on a heavy jacket. Now you might have to, your arm may have to move differently to clear that jacket, or if you pull straight up like this, you may, and I'm going to scoot over here, and I'm going to stand up. So if you're drawing like this, that coat may be in the way. You may not be able to get that done right.
And what I recommend, if you're carrying on, whether you're carrying on your hip or you're carrying appendix, I recommend getting used to your offhand, using that to clear your clothes so that you can get clean to the firearm. Now, also practice doing it one-handed where you have to clean and clear with the same hand.
Yep.
Because it may be a physical confrontation and they've got a knife and you're trying to fend off the knife with your offhand.
Yeah. You have to kind of
plan for everything.
Yeah, you have to plan for everything. You have to kind of play around with a few things, and you have to do it with one hand. Do it with can you, here's the thing, you may have to draw it, and then can you put that firearm in your offhand and then fend off someone from the other side? I mean,
not even that. Can you, and this is why I've started appendix carrying a little bit more, is can you draw with your offhand?
Right.
What if your main hand is tied up? Can you reach to that firearm with your offhand and draw it effectively?
Right.
Again, a reason why I don't really care for once you get past that either 9 or 3 o'clock and you're starting to wear it a little bit behind your body.
Right.
It makes it much difficult to get to with that offhand.
It really depends on your reach. You have to know what you're capable of doing, and you have to there's decisions that you have to make. There's trade-offs for everything that's out there. It's a personal preference. The main thing we're going to have to tell you is you have to get in there and you have to see what works for you. I can't tell you this is the best or that's the best because I'm not you.
Right. We can tell you what we'd recommend from our experience.
Correct.
And a lot of this stuff that we do tell you is experience tested.
Right.
But at the same time, when I was fighting, I trained with a guy that was the most flexible person I've ever seen, and he could, if he wanted to, he could probably put a firearm and wear it at 4 o'clock and get to it with his left hand easy.
Right.
But he had longer limbs and he was very flexible. But I'm not that way. I'm not built that way.
I can get to a firearm over here and from behind. So, and I can stand up, and so if I carry it here, I'm going to carry a firearm right here. That's probably where I'm going to do it. I could probably still get it almost here if I go through, but if it's right on my side, I may.
If it's 3 o'clock.
If it's right at 3 o'clock, and I'll tell you, I don't wear right at 3 o'clock. I move it back just a hair.
See, and that's where you and I different. I don't like anything past 3 o'clock.
See, and I prefer everything back 3 o'clock, and I don't mind a sob holster. I don't mind that. And a sob holster is a small of back holster.
See, and that is something I won't ever wear for one big reason.
If you lay on your back or you get knocked on your back, you can't get to it.
You can't get to it. Plus, that's going to hurt like hell landing on it.
Yep. So.
And I have seen stories where people have done back damage because of that too. So.
Yep. So that's where, and I don't like appendix carry. This is where we differ. I prefer the back half of the body. You prefer the front half of the body. This is where it's a personal preference, and I'm going to tell you, because I'm not comfortable with it on the front half, I'm going to feel uneasy, and that's going to cause problems.
Right.
He doesn't like it on the back half. So if you make him try to carry on the back half, he may feel uncomfortable. There's pros and cons on both sides. If you get flat on your face, and you could have the same issues per se.
It's still easier to snake down in front of you.
For you, it may be because you may have that training for it. But with a female that gets pushed down and they grab her hair and they put her down and then you put your knee in the small of the back or something like that, she may not be able to. You may not be able to get there, or if someone sees you reaching over there, they may start hitting or doing something for you. So, I mean, there's benefits and there's negative for both sides. You're going to have to pick what you like, and I hate to say it, but you're going to have to deal with the negative on that if the other happens. So
Right. So
unfortunately, it's not a catch-all. You can't say this is the perfect place because of this reason. It doesn't exist. Anybody that tells you that is lying to you.
so next thing I want to talk about when you're carrying.
Okay.
Are you printing?
Ah,
So printing is, can you see the firearm
yeah.
through your clothes? Is it putting up a silhouette? So if I stand up here,
All right.
am I carrying?
I'm not answering that.
Well, yeah, but if you look at me, does it look like I'm carrying?
I know what I'm looking for, so yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Now, a common person, if they saw me, would look.
They would never know. They would
And,
never
and
know.
if I have my arms
Now,
down, you're
once
definitely not
put-
going to know.
Well, once you put your hand down, I could actually see it more now.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So, and here is.
I can tell you right there.
Yep.
I just went to the top of your gun.
Well, you also know where I carry it most of the time.
I don't, but I saw your shirt just fold just
Yeah.
right there on that. But this is the difference. I know what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
I've been trained to look to see and look at a body and say, okay, that's a cell phone or a firearm. That's possibly a firearm. So I have that training and I know. Okay. The average person is not me, and unfortunately, the average person is not you, because we have more training for this. If I was the average person, I would have never known. Okay?
But this will kind of get into some other things with this. Does it set up through clothing? And this is a really light shirt, so it's going to show through this a little bit more.
But see, I knew what I was looking for.
Mhm.
Even with his light shirt, I could tell you if I had the mindset of
Average Joe.
everyday person walking around, I would have never known he had a firearm on him. So there's a lot of that, and that's where your mindset goes through. Is you have to assume everybody thinks that you can see through things and may know that you have it, and so you have to carry yourself that way.
And if you're printing real bad, and everyone's going to print a little bit. I have yet to see any setup that you don't print at all.
I agree. Now there's a difference, but you saw him. Now I want you to stand up, turn so it shows the camera. All right, do you see that? Now, pull your shirt so you print.
No.
You got to
Right there.
almost, and I'm gonna tell you.
Here.
Do you see that? Do you see
Right
that
there.
image right there? I'm pulling his shirt away, and so if you're wearing a tight shirt like this is not good.
No. So and if you're printing, you're really defeating the purpose of concealed carry.
Correct. So you got to understand that before. I hate to say it, but I think girls have the advantage here. They're used to wearing different outfits and seeing all this kind of stuff and making the bra straps. And guys, we have to do that too when we're carrying. You can't put on that my muscle shirt on there so all my muscles show, and then put on a gun and think that gun isn't going to print. Not going to happen.
I've got a friend that very, very, very good shape. I mean, he definitely takes pride in his body, which if I looked like him, I would too. And he wears tight shirts all the time.
Yep.
He can't conceal carry.
No. Or he has to find another way to put
Yeah.
it somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that way, I will tell you, if you're going to conceal carry, if you see me out, I mean, you can see this is not a form-fitting T-shirt. I have those. I have compression shirts that I wear when I'm in the gym or something like that. I'm not going to be carrying in those because I know those are those are tight shirts. I'm going to wear something a little bit baggy. So, in a good example is if you wear a large shirt, maybe get an extra large to carry. If you wear a medium, maybe go up a size.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
Give a little bit more room in there for it
Right.
to help hide that firearm.
Correct. Because these little wrinkles on your shirt that go through, those happen. That's natural. Let that do that where the firearm's supposed to be too.
Right. And the other thing to think about is if you do find that you're printing a lot, maybe you need to look at a different firearm for your CCW carry. And this kind of goes back to, if you watch the episode on the Canic MC9 Met L,
Yeah.
where we compared them, the original Met has a much smaller handle grip to it.
Right.
Which, when I wear that, it doesn't print even half as much as this one does.
Right.
But with it getting colder, I can afford to because I typically have a coat on.
So and that you're 100% right. So you got to know the season you're carrying, the gun you're carrying, the right size. There's a millions of them out there. Winter is a little easier to conceal carry because you're wearing hoodies and stuff like that.
If you're wearing a winter coat, a good winter coat,
Yeah.
you can probably carry a full size and no one will know until you take that coat off.
Right. So it helps. It does help. Winter is kind of the helper for that.
Right.
Conceal carry. Now, if it's summer and you're wearing, t-shirts and, you're jogging every day and you're wearing these compression shirts, well, wear your compression shirt and then put a baggy shirt over it so you can kind of hide it there a little bit.
And, the other thing is maybe you need to carry it in a different position.
Right.
Maybe if I see, I'm printing real bad with this shirt with it on my hip, maybe I move it to appendix carry and I don't print as bad.
Right. Moving it just slightly may change that angle and change it where maybe the butt's not sticking out because you move it back and it goes in, or you move it forward and it helps print less. I guess. Yeah. All kinds of options.
There are options out there, and that may be where I really want to carry, and it's not that time of the year where I need to wear a heavy coat because I get. This is where we're kind of opposite. He gets cold real easy. We get to about August and he's in a hoodie.
Yeah. Well,
and
September, October.
And I didn't pull out my winter coat until we were several days at just into the 20s barely. And
oh yeah, no. And this is why I like the ankle carry, because I do get cold very easily. So I may have a long sleeve shirt on, and then I might have a smaller jacket, and then I might have a big jacket on. I like to layer. My wife likes to layer. So I may not want to have to screw with all those layers, and because my top hat gets cold, but my legs don't get cold, I could throw one in an ankle holster right in my boot that's pretty secure there, and I don't have to worry about that. Now, if you can't bend and touch your toes, that might not be for you.
Right.
Let's be honest.
So, different options on how you carry, positions that you carry, what you're wearing, those can all play into, are you printing?
Yeah. Well, that ran a little long.
Yeah, we're definitely going over on time here. We should make this a two-parter.
Yep. So we're going to see this two-parter, but before we go, make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube.
And Rumble.
Yep. So we're both those places.
It's really going to help us a lot. It'll help with the algorithms there, get us out to more people.
Yep.
And it doesn't cost you a penny.
No, it doesn't. And you get a twofer on this one. So enjoy the next part 2.
We'll see you soon.